Hello?
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's episode of I Stream, You Stream, where we're going to talk about the most recent episode of WandaVision over on Disney Plus. It was pretty amazing. Nice little cliffhanger there at the end. So, but what I want to do is I want to talk to my friends, my buddies, my pals. I'm talking about BitOfRits and AllThatPat.
Woo! In the house.
How you all doing tonight?
Good.
That's good. That's someone speaks for everyone. It's all right. We understand how that works.
I said for myself. I mean,
Right.
what are you doing?
I think it says last time, but I think we need to raise the bar. It can't be just good.
Excellent.
Okay, that's a little too high.
You gotta say it in the way that they say it. What on Bill and Ted?
Oh yeah. Excellent. Do-do-do-do-do-do.
That is kind of bogus.
Non-heinous.
Station. All righty. Well, we are here. We are going to be talking about episode number 5 and titled On a Very Special Episode. This episode takes place in the 80s. So going to go ahead and get this out here right off the bat. There will be spoilers. We are going to be talking about them. So just in case if you have not seen this episode, we do encourage you to go check it out, watch it, because like I said, there is going to be spoilers in this episode. So here will be your official spoiler warning right now. Almost.
Be warned.
Maybe. Sorry, I made a graphic and it wasn't loaded, and so I'm like talking. So here you go. Warning, spoilers ahead. So you have been warned. All righty. Well, what did you think of the episode?
I mean, I loved the 80s vibe. It really felt like Full House to me. It had the cheesiness. There were a couple awkward moments, as we'll get to, like I said, with different characters kind of not acting right, and some definitely weird time lapses, I guess we'll say them. But overall, I liked it. Yeah, it was an enjoyable episode, and it gave it enough of a balance between the Monica stuff and also like the WandaVision within a world stuff. I like that.
Right. Yeah, so it was really cool. I really enjoyed this one. Definitely, 1 and 2 episodes were really strong. 3 kind of faltered a little bit for me. Just didn't have that right vibe. Then 4 kicked it right back into gear, and then this 5, we were just looking in the rearview mirror. We're just trucking on all the way down. We've got 4 more episodes left in this series. So that is if there's not that special mystery episode that someone may be talking about. We'll have to see if we actually do get that. But
fingers crossed.
I would love a 10th episode. Maybe do the finale's a 2-parter. So that would be truly amazing. Because here's the thing, the episodes, because there are so few of them, most television series that are on, actual broadcast, they have anywhere from 18, 22, 24 episodes. So some of those episodes are going to be a little bit of filler. When you've got, 9 episodes, maybe 10, there's no room for filler. This is just meat and potatoes all the way.
Right, exactly.
So there's no time for salad or soup.
I like salad and soup.
They're kind of tasty. But when it comes to, your shows, you definitely want to just have all the good stuff right there with you. Right. So what about you, BitOfRits? Did you I definitely with the episode?
Basically what AllThatPat was saying, I was in line with. I was happy that they brought back that the nostalgic shows feel.
Right.
I definitely enjoyed that aspect of this. It's very unique, I think, for really any show, but also for a Marvel show,
Yeah, definitely. They are constantly pulling new stuff out of the bag with everything that they're doing on this. So it's really cool to see this reimagined type of a show. So I'm definitely digging it, really enjoying it.
Yeah, the vibes, you know, I mean, not to stop the conversation, but like, they really hit the vibes because the 80s when you had the awws, you know what I mean? And you had that, like, all that. It really felt like it belonged on TGIF.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, excellent. Was there anything about the episode that you particularly didn't like about it?
Not that I didn't like it, but I definitely was thrown off by the awkwardness I felt like of the what was the neighbor's
Agnes.
Agnes's,
yeah,
when she was, like it added to the like what exactly is going on questioning on our end, but and who's really in control if she seems to kind of not be in a complete trance almost.
Right.
But it's almost like maybe that is a form of Wanda controlling her, is that she thinks she's in a show. But it was very like I'm not sure how to word it, but I also feel that it's a little sad, I guess, that she can't be so forthcoming with Vision and just be able to both be happy and instead keep him in the dark of exactly what's going on.
Right. Well, and some of that I'm so I love how at the beginning of the series you have this one thought, you have this one theory, and you're like, yes, this is it. And then you go through it and something happens, you're like, yes, that's exactly what I thought. And then something else happens and go, wait.
Yeah.
No, maybe I think it is. So there's a part of me that think, yes, Wanda is controlling a lot of the stuff. She's keeping people there, but I don't know how much she's actually truly in charge and how much she's actually controlling. So there may be that level of that aspect of where she's like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how some of this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
I actually kind of believe her a little bit now after this episode. There is a part where she actually leaves the bubble.
Yep.
And goes back in. But so I know she has some sort of control. There's something that she is a part of the master plan, but I feel that like when she's in there, she's also affected by the mind games and the mind manipulation that is going on that we'll be talking about a little bit later. So
definitely doesn't seem to have control over her two sons. That is pretty evident, particularly in this episode. So it's like almost like we're finding out bits and pieces of, as exactly what you said. She definitely has some control, but not 100%.
Right. I do think that Agnes is going to be a key player. I do think that she's actually in more control than Wanda is, because every moment when Agnes is the only one that seems to have be able to make changes in the episode more than her. Like even in this one, she came out and she was the one that was trying to force to be able to hold the baby. And I don't think any other character would have fought back in that sense, an argument.
Right.
Agnes was the first character that Wanda just blatantly showed her powers off to, and there was no it was like even Vision asked, goes, how can you keep doing that? How can you keep doing your powers in front of her? And she's like, I don't know, I don't really care, it's all good. And I wonder if that's because Agnes, that character, was able to kind of almost lower her guard down. I don't know, but I do feel that Agnes as a character is becoming more and more important.
Right.
So I wonder who she actually is.
Well, I do believe that there's a reason why she was the third character that we meet in this entire series. First it's Wanda, it's Vision, and then you get Agnes stopping by to say hello. At least I think that's how it played out, or maybe it was actually you got actually seen at Vision's work. But regardless, it's one of the main characters that has carried over from every single episode. Agnes is there as a part of this. There's a reason for that. So yes, I do agree that definitely something's up.
Yeah, she was definitely the first person to go in their house.
Yes, that is very true. So, all right. So we a lot of good stuff. Not so much on the bad things, but just waiting for the other shoe to drop, so to speak, just to progress that storyline along. And that's what's really nice is this show has had so many questions, and we're at the episode 5, and we've had a lot of those questions answered, at least what we believe. Unfortunately, for every like one question they answer, they like drop 3 more questions on our lap going, how's that for you? So, with the remaining 4 episodes left, we'll kind of just have to see what else is out there. Hopefully everything will be answered, at least to a good portion when the series is over, and that they're not going to hold anything off moving into the 3rd Spider-Man film and the 2nd Doctor Strange. So we'll just kind of have to see how that plays out. All righty. Well, before we dive on into some of the Easter eggs and stuff like that, I wanted to kind of see, okay, you've been going to school now for about 4 weeks, 3-4 weeks now, right? At the Lord Cash Marvel Academy.
Hold on. Let me get my notebook.
So I wanted to see how well you guys have, picked up stuff. And I want to see if maybe there's things throughout this episode that maybe we've talked about in the past that you've re-seen in this episode. So I want to kind of little fill the room out to see if there's anything that you guys have noticed in this episode before we just head right on in.
Bring it.
So what are some of the stuff that you may have noticed?
Oh, I thought there was gonna be questions.
Putting us on the spot.
I know.
Mean, I know that you were saying that the 2 sons so I hadn't known that Wanda in one of the comics had sons and that they had powers. So it's pretty apparent that they also have powers in this episode. And also, there's one thing I was going to mention.
Well, I mean, there's again, I don't know. Okay, let me think. What did we actually notice? Because I mean, obviously there was the was the dog.
Okay.
And the dog, like, again, yeah, it's was it Fluff? No, they called it a really weird name.
Sniffy.
Sniffy, there you go.
It was sniffing up against the wall.
Yeah.
And then it kind of got shocked, and then so Agnes suggested, how about we call it Sparky?
Right. I think that I don't know how far ahead we want to get, but I do also think that the Sparky or the Sniffy character is the first one that actually really had something like truly negative happen. As we'll talk about later. I mean, other than like episode 1, like the one woman cut her hand, and that was like a little negativity.
Oh my god, that was like choking.
That's true. I forgot about the boss. Yeah. But anyway, I mean, this is a very extreme negative, as we'll see later in the show. It
was a very special episode.
Oh, it was. Mm-hmm. It was. Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's the surprise at the end, which we'll get to as well.
Yeah, we're not gonna release that information just yet.
Well, exactly. So those are things I'm thinking about, though, that we had talked about prior. The 3 of us. I'm just ranting and rambling. I don't have a focus on what I may have noticed.
Okay. Well, then I say we kind of just then jump right on in and we'll start kind of at the beginning of the episode. So starts off with basically Wanda and Vision trying to adjust to parent life, and sometimes having newborns and them not wanting to sleep is definitely a thing that new parents have to go into. We talked BitOfRits talked about how Wanda's magic was not working. Like she even tried to put them in the crib and tried to put their magic on them to make them go to sleep, but it was not working. One of the things I did find amusing, definitely in that 80s cheese where, Wanda sent Vision to go get the pacifiers, and he comes back, wearing them in his ears. He's all ears as he kind of makes a statement.
Also that cheesy, like both of the babies throw their pacifiers in the air. I was like, oh, that's so, retro.
Yep. So they just like spit them out and everything. So, that whole little slapstick of the 80s and everything was definitely there. And then, of course, Wanda and Vision have a visitor by Agnes. She just stops on by. Vision's able to pick up a pillow and able to change back into his human form. And then that's when things take a little bit of a weird turn. Right. So Agnes comes in as like, well, let me go and help you, hold the babies and everything. And Wanda's like, yeah, sure, go right ahead. And Vision's like, well, when was the last time you washed your hands? Maybe, no, I don't think we're going to do that. And so Agnes is like, do do it again?
Yeah.
Do you want to do it from the top? And they're like, what are you talking about? So finally they would kind of get past that a little bit. WandaVision kind of sneak off to the corner and have the conversation. Is like, did you see what she just did? And Wanda's like, nah, she's just confused. She's fine. Again, trying to blow it off. But then all of a sudden, silence. There's no more babies crying. The babies are officially missing out of the crib. And so they're like, what's going on? And again, more weird stuff happening. They have now aged up to the age of 5 years of age. So this was kind of
lasted 20 minutes too.
What's that?
In the last episode 2 ago, the pregnancy also lasted like 20 minutes. So the aging for these characters has been consistent, technically.
Yeah, well, and Jimmy Woo kind of makes the comment later on in the episode. Is like, by the end of the day or the end of the week, they're going to be empty nesters because the kids are just going to age right on out of being in the house.
Right.
So there was all that, and of course, Agnes is just like kids. You can't control them, which I think is kind of a little homage to the moniker of pets and children working in Hollywood.
Right.
They're always the trouble. You can't control them. You always have to deal with all their shenanigans going on. So I think that was kind of a little bit a trope to them. On top of the fact that their magic or Wanda's magic is not working on them. So we're definitely going to see what type of abilities they're actually going to, develop over the next few episodes. And then, of course, after that, we roll into the intro. Now, I've done a little thing here where let's watch the intro, so to speak. So it starts off with a little bit of the old Family Ties kind of motif, and then it switches over into your growing pains, where they kind of go back through them as a kid growing up. And then, of course, as you mentioned, there was that third show that they go into, and that is right here. You have your Full House vibe coming off of it at the very end. And then, of course, you sandwich it back with some Family Ties.
Right.
So,
what's funny? I did not even pick up on that both screens were actually Family Ties, and one was I didn't even like
growing pains.
Yeah, but that's how similar they were. That I thought I was watching.
Yeah. Now I even took it a step further. I went ahead and I actually transcribed the lyrics to this episode, because I was listening to some of the words and I'm like, okay, these kind of mean stuff. So I know I put them up on the whatchamacallit, the closed caption, so you can read along for story time with Lord Cash. So the intro is like, you wander the world with a vision of what life could be, but then the years come and teach you to just wait and see. Forces may try to pull us apart, but nothing can faze me if you're in my heart. Almost like a little poem there.
Yeah.
Crossing our fingers, singing a song, we're making it up as we go along. Through the highs and the lows, we'll be right, we'll be wrong. We're making it up as we go along. And there will be days we won't know which way to go, but we'll take it higher. You're all I desire. When the going gets tough, when push comes to shove, we're making it up. And here's where it gets to the heart, because we got love. And then they repeat it, we got love. And then, oh yeah, baby, we got WandaVision. So, like, listening to, like, they're literally making it up as they go along. Like, that is part of the whole lyrics to this, is they're just crossing their fingers, singing a song, or making it up as we go along. So,
and Wanda as a character is very reactionary.
Mm-hmm.
as to what happens. Because I mean, she's got a general plan, but she's always responding to whatever these things come up. So I could see that.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty interesting that just listening to the lyrics of it and exactly what it's saying. It's like, and that whole thing is like you wander the world with a vision. Well, you did until he died. And then push comes to shove. They're just trying to keep it together because they got love. So I thought that was, like I said, it was a kind of nice little interesting little bits of stuff there. And some of the things that during the intro that I kind of pointed out is, they've got pictures of Wanda growing up, but this is her back in Sokovia, on the streets.
Mhm.
And then, of course, as we saw at the very end, right before they go into the intro, is the boys go from 0 to 5. So, of course, they have to have a birthday party for all of them for all 5 years. Not that they're turning 12,345, though.
Good for that age.
Yeah, they're looking pretty good. So it was pretty interesting to kind of some of the stuff that they showed in there. I'll talk about, there's something else that was in the intro, but I'm gonna wait a little bit later to kind of throw that, because it's purely speculation on my part. I tried to look through the internet to see if there was anything out there that could like show anything to it. It's out there, but it's nothing really concrete. So I'm gonna wait to the end that'll be the speculation theory time frame. So, but after we do the intro, then we jump right on into the outside Westview, the real world, with Sword going on, and we have kind of a narration of Hayward talking to Monica about her experience within the bubble inside the force field, about what did she experience. But one of the things that happened is she got, I'm presuming, like a CAT scan of some sort. And when it came back, it was all blank, all like there was nothing on it.
Oh yeah, she got really upset about that.
Yeah, so they're gonna have to do it again. She's like, "Nah, we're gonna wait." Now there's a good possibility, and I'll go and share this a little bit here. This is one of those things that have been talked about since the first Captain Marvel movie, is because Monica was going to grow up, and by the time we actually get to the Avengers time frame, she's going to be this age, that she might officially get her powers that she does within the comics. So she actually becomes several names. One of them is she actually becomes a Captain Marvel. She becomes Photon after her mom's kind of her name. And I think she also becomes Spectrum. So those are 3 different names that she kind of goes into. So we're going to have to see how that plays out. But I do think that those CT scans that are coming back are definitely playing into some of the things that are going to be happening with her, if not by the end of this episode, possibly with the second Captain Marvel movie that is slated to be coming out in the near future. Not sure if that's actually going to be present time Captain Marvel, or if this is going to be something, in the late 90s, early 2000, maybe kind of talk about why her and Captain Marvel aren't maybe necessarily getting along. There was, during one of the briefs, they were kind of commenting about who could actually, if Wanda could have actually taken out Thanos, and she's like, pretty much the only one that could have done it. And he said he like initiated a blitz, basically fired on his own army to stop Wanda. And of course, Jimmy Woo's like, well, Captain Marvel could have could have done it. And just the look that she gives on her face is like, boy, do not talk about her. So
that honestly as well, because like I thought they did have a better connection, but again, it's been the better part of 20-30 years since
right,
that doorstop that doorstep interaction with Monica and Captain Marvel. So
yeah, again, I don't know if maybe she's blaming Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, for maybe not being there when her mom passed, or something of that caliber. So we're gonna have to see how that plays out. I have a feeling that the Captain Marvel 2 will be in the present time. So we'll kind of see how that plays out.
Right.
But basically, she's getting looked over before they go to a big briefing, led by Director Haywood. So basically, has everybody around the information area talking about what do we know so far, what's going on, and things of that nature. And they really want to dive really deep into Wanda's past. They talk about how she was a protester for Hydra and things of that nature, and all the stuff that they did. I don't know if you noticed this, but they brought the news station back, WHIH,
Right.
that we were talking about last week, when we saw the beginning of S.H.I.E.L.D. So there's also that sorts of stuff going on. And it's basically kind of just as they're going along, Hayward and Wu kind of start getting at it. It was like, that's kind of a simplified version of it, of who Wanda is. There's a lot more to it than that. I also like the fact that they make a point to mention that at this point in time, Wanda is not known as Scarlet Witch. She has not gotten that name yet.
I didn't even think about that because,
Because Hayward asked, so does she have any nicknames, any monikers that she goes by? And Wu's like, no, just Wanda. So I believe the showrunner has basically said by the end of this episode, she will be Scarlet Witch. She will have fully grown into that persona of Scarlet Witch by the end of the episode. So I thought that was kind of a nice little point that you probably may not have thought, because we know the backstory of the comics, some of these characters, what they're known as, that unless they're actually said in the episode inside the series, you don't think about that sometimes.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that too, because we actually had a conversation about superheroes and their character nicknames actually literally last night. BitOfRits and I did. And yeah, because this happens after Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't call her the Scarlet Witch during that?
Nope, it was always Wanda.
Huh. Yeah, that's really odd, because you always wonder, when do they actually call them by their name? Sometimes they don't.
Yeah. Well, and then realistically, going through, yeah, technically everyone does have a nickname. Thor really doesn't. That's his name. His name is Thor.
Same thing with
Vision. Yeah, Vision. But I was thinking more of your original six. It is Tony Stark, Iron Man, Steve Rogers, Captain America. You have Clint. Can't think of his last name. Starts with a B though. Hawkeye. You've got Natasha Romanoff as Black Widow. You've got Bruce Banner as the Hulk, and then Thor is just Thor, but he's like the God of Thunder
and rock and roll.
Exactly. So moving out of that, you have Ant-Man, you have Wasp, a Black Panther. You have all these characters with a moniker. War Machine. They have a superhero name, but Wanda never really has just yet. So within the next 4 episodes, she's going to become it. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Nice. Yeah, I said it's interesting theory. I mean, not even theory, just thought about that.
So I did possibly find a mistake.
No.
Maybe. Because of the digitizing of the screen, it may not be that. So if we look at this image here, it's hard to see, but at the very top, it's like it says name Wanda Maximoff, and it says YLB for year of birth. I've zoomed in, and I swear it says 1988. However, they clearly say that Wanda was born in 1989 in Sokovia, and gives her parents' name to Irina and Oleg Maximoff. And then her parents were actually killed March 31st, 1999. Yeah, 1990. So 10 years after they were born, her parents were killed.
Basically, yeah, they're orphaned.
Yeah, at the age of 10, and that's when they grew up on the streets of Sokovia, and thus being susceptible to the views of Hydra, who were very anti, Stark Industries at that time. So I don't know if, like I said, because it's a digitized version of it, I might have to like pause it on the big screen and not like my computer. That way I can take advantage of like 4K opportunities to see if that actually does say 8.8 or 8.9. So
it'd be interesting, to see if that's another Easter egg, because as we've seen it, guys, if you've been watching our previous episodes, Lord Cash is the king of the Easter egg. I call him Bunny, E Bunny over there. But yeah, I know he picks out some of the most interesting, minuscule things sometimes. So that might be a big little clue.
Well, as much as I would love to take credit for a lot of this, the beautiful thing about doing this show Thursday is this episode has been out for 6 days.
Take credit. Take credit.
I know, but I do a lot of homework. I do my homework. So I'm clicking on post. I'm searching the websites and everything for this entire week. So that way, by the time we do get to tonight, I have literally everything from all over the place. I've got all the different possible theories. We had the opportunity last week where there was a very common theory that was, I thought was out there, but because it had waited so long, the actual showrunner kind of debunked it a little bit. So you have that opportunity for things to really marinate and really come to fruition if things are going to happen. So that's what I like about it. But then after, they had their briefing, it goes back into WandaVision. We go back into the suburbs of Westview. And of course, we find Billy and Tommy kind of hiding in front of this kitchen sink. Wanda comes in, kind of nagging on. I was like, I appreciate that you guys are no longer crying, but good grief, why'd you have to learn to walk? Which, again, that is a typical parent response of, oh my gosh, will you start walking? Okay, stop walking. Will you talk? Oh my gosh, please be quiet. That's parents, So, but of course they find the dog, and Vision decides to show up. But however, he's noticing that he is wearing his human face instead of his synthezoid thing.
Right.
So, and of course, Wanda's like, "Why are you wearing that?" And she's like, "I just figured someone would be actually stopping by," which, of course, that leads to
there she is,
Agnes stopping by with what is needed, a doggy house. So they again, a Vision is kind of his little radars going off, going, "What's going on?" So we're gonna have to see. That kind of really goes throughout the episode of his radar, his suspicion is like really, really elevated. But Wanda decides to make it official by creating a dog collar right out of thin air. And of course, Vision's like, "What are you doing?" Agnes is right there. But of course, Wanda's like, she's not even paying attention. She didn't even really notice when the kids went from babies to 5 years of age. So they're like, she's not even paying attention. And of course, Billy and Tommy are like, "Can we please keep the dog? Please, mommy, please, daddy." But of course, they're like, "We don't want a dog. We can't afford to do a dog right now." And they're like, "Well, maybe when you're maybe 10 years of age. Yeah, 10 years of age. Then you can have a dog. Then you'll be responsible for it." And then of course, I love the little mischievous look that the boys have with each other, and they're like, "Oh crap, what did we just do?" And then poof, they're 10 years of age now.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I think the three of us were talking even while we watched it, like if they had actors that are similar siblings, because like they look so alike. It was very fitting and very interesting. Not that that's a big thing, but it's just it kept the illusion of these more older selves.
I went and looked up the IMDb of the four actors that played the boys. The two Tommies do not seem to be related. the two Billies do not seem to be related. They have different last names. Not to say that that's, a deal breaker, but
right.
Without, diving into their genealogies and their family trees, first glance, not related.
Well, I mean, Lord Cash, you and I, we've always been mistaken for twin brothers, and we definitely have different mothers. So,
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be relation. You're very true.
So they decide to go ahead and keep the dog. But however, we flip back to the outside. I have a feeling that this is going to be the common theme moving forward. Is you're going to have a piece inside Westview, then a portion outside with Sword. Then you're just going to keep going back and forth. And then sometimes they may merge together into one. But they were trying to figure out how to get back into inside the hex, as Darcy has now dubbed it. And so Monica has theorized a way to possibly get back in, needing all this stuff for stuff for the protons, the neutrons to counterbalance and everything. Now, here's the question that I don't know if it was just a kind of a throwaway, but there is, and I'm looking for my notes here. If I actually wrote it down. Monica goes and texts somebody because there's an aerospace engineer that she knows that might be able to help out. There are theories that this could be, in fact, Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four. He's smart. He's kind of his field of expertise. Or it could be just someone else.
Lord Cash, I think that would be a bit of a stretch.
Ooh. That was a fantastic joke.
Yeah.
There might be 4 more.
Ooh. Maybe. So there's that going on. We'll see if that actually comes to pass. We actually find out who she was texting, or if it was just a, hey, that was an idea. I know someone. Let me just text and make something happen.
There'd be a lot of red. It's like the red herrings, I think, right?
Right.
Or like distractions.
So another theory out there is that it actually might be Pym from Ant-Man. I'm blanking on his first name.
Hank.
There we go. I'm like, Scott Lang is not who I'm thinking of because he's not the smart one. But Hank Pym, the original Ant-Man, if you look at, there's again, I watch the trailers, I see what's the promotional material out there, I just soak it up. There's the vehicle that is like racing towards the dome, and it looks very similar to that of the vehicle that is created to travel the quantum realm.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that possibility that maybe reaching out to them.
Right.
So red herring or 4 more episodes. We'll find out. Then Monica kind of makes a realization, and so she goes to check out her clothes that she wore or last wore when she was in the episode. So of course, Darcy makes a comment like, "Are we being forced to see this atrocity?" But of course, Monica's like, let me grab your gun for just a second and just start shooting at it. Not because it's horrendous, but because when she was going into the hex, she was wearing a Kevlar vest, bulletproof vest, and thus made her clothes bulletproof.
Right.
So they kind of like led the discussion of whether or not, if things going in, if they have to be manipulated to fit into the time era, what does that do? The cable gets turned into a jump rope, the hazmat suit gets turned into a beekeeper, a drone gets turned into a toy helicopter. What happens if we send in something that does not need to be modified?
But why does it not change back when it comes out? That's my question. Because that 70s outfit should have turned back into Kevlar. That jump rope should have turned back into a cable. Because didn't the helicopter turn back into the? No, they just showed an example of it. But you know what I mean? That, like, why doesn't it turn back? Is there like some kind of is there something that's like being like retained in that item once it's been like perverted in Wanda's world.
I have one word for you. Magic. Outside of that, I really don't know. But at least, here's the thing, though. They have been consistent on setting that up. They set it up with the jump rope that even though it goes through it and comes back out, it does stay in the converted form. So when Monica got, ejected, her clothes still stayed the same. So because again, it's rewriting the matter. I think that's what it is Wanda is not creating stuff. She's just rewriting the molecules of what's already there, which is why her outfit was bulletproof, because it was made of bulletproof materials.
Can I give like a really weird theory?
By all means. I think that's what the show's all about.
What if?
Get ready for a Pat theory.
Oh, you got it. But I don't think it's bad.
Okay.
All right. So we know Vision is possibly dead, right? That's the whole, who knows? But what if Wanda puts him in human form and then they leave? So he no longer has to have the stone in his head to power him, and he can actually leave as a human being instead of the synthezoid, and he'd actually be alive on the other end.
I give that theory a 7.
That's pretty good if it's at a 10. Not so good if it's at 100.
I won't say what it's out of.
Oh man,
no, it's definitely an interesting thing. I don't know if that would actually work, but again, that's what this is all about, is all the different theories that we could come up with.
I was pleasantly surprised by that theory. Sometimes the theories that AllThatPat comes up with, I call them Pat theories for a reason.
You know what they say, though? A broken clock is correct twice a day. Even the blind squirrel finds it nuts. So, but we'll see. Like I said, that's almost like the moniker of this program is just got to wait and see. So we now jump back into the world of WandaVision. We stop by Vision's place of work, which still looks like the same place, but now they've got computers.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the whole thing is like, you tell me that this thing can do like send electronic mail and a word processor and all this stuff together. What's it going to be able to do? Find me a girlfriend like soon in time. I love the whole, talk of the 80s of computer technology.
Right.
And I just love that with the fact that it was a Commodore 64.
Absolutely.
Was a nice little treat. And of course, things take another weird turn.
Very weird.
So they get a group email, or Vision gets an email, but everybody in the room starts reading it. And of course, basically, it is from Sword, basically saying, Dr. Lewis has found stuff regarding the Maximoff anomaly, high level of radiation present at perimeter, effect on Westwood resident unknown. Please advise. So they're like, what's going on with this? And then at this point in time, Vision kind of awakens Norm by touching his temple, and when he comes out of the stupor, he is like freaking out, going, "Oh my gosh, what's happening?" Do you remember who he was asking for?
I know it's a sister.
Oh my god,
Tell us. Time's up.
So it was asking about his sister, because I guess his checking about his father as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this was this week's episode. You remember when I mentioned something this last week with all everyone's like little dossiers on the bulletin board?
Oh, there's a missing. Yeah, there's one that was like not.
So, so if you look at the notes at the bottom, expresses concern for his father and sister. This information was obtained when Vision awakened him. Is under controlling a whole town. Physical safety of resident is now in question. with Vision restores him, Abalash becomes Norm again. That was last week's episode.
Were there any others now that you could zoom in on and say that's a spoiler for episode 6?
I've tried reading them, and there's really nothing that I found was stuff like that.
That is a crazy spoiler. That was right there.
Yeah. And I read that last week, so I was like, okay, is that something that hasn't happened yet? Which again leads me back to a theory that I had based on episode 4. And that was, I don't know if I actually talked about this, but when Wanda and Vision come out at the end of episode 2 and encounter the beekeeper, the tone of which Wanda says no is different from when Wanda says it and when we hear it from the beekeeper's perspective. It is a very, no, I don't like this. I don't want this. Versus when we hear it from the beekeeper's perspective is like, no, this is not happening. I've already told you once, no. That I'm wondering if these events are playing over and over throughout the day. So literally, they have experienced all of WandaVision's episodes. They just haven't showed them to us yet. So, because the fact that as of last week, when they were just pulling up all the stuff, they had already had access to this information.
Well, I could be wrong, but I think when they brought all the TVs in, there were clips of
different episodes
that we hadn't seen, but you didn't really see what was happening. It was just like playing in the background. So it almost seemed like there are multiple things being streamed into the lab at once.
To my knowledge, all of the TVs have shown the exact same image.
Oh, okay.
So if there was one TV over here and one TV over there, it was on the same episode at the same time. The only time that we have actually seen something on the boob tube versus actually experiencing it in the show is the first time that we see Monica as Geraldine, because it takes place in the 50s or 60s when it's still black and white.
Right.
So I don't think we're ever going to see that episode or that experience, that encounter, because it's already passed.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm just, they're very selectively showing us what episodes are happening when we're watching them. But I do think that they have access to the entire, for lack of better words, the full season of WandaVision.
Yeah.
So I know. So, but again, Norm is freaking out. And then, of course, basically Vision touches him in the temple again and puts him back to sleep, puts him back into the world of, So you're telling me if I send this around the world, an email, where do I put the stamp? So that very, 80s campy sense is still there. We then jump back to the home life where Wanda's at home with the boys. And Tommy is teaching, I take that back. Billy is teaching Sparky some new tricks. They're like, oh, great, let's go show Dad. Here's some more weirdness. Because he's at work, but it's Saturday. They're like, no, it's Monday. So they're like confused as to what's going on. Like, okay, what is actually like, what are the days of the week there? Are they just kind of, because again, it's TV, just things just jump around all over the place, but even the boys aren't even aware of what's going on, so to speak.
Yeah, all these distractions are being made to kind of like, I don't know. It's just like,
I don't think anybody 100% knows what's going on. And I think that even is an example of Wanda having some control because she sends him to work and all those people are going to work, but at the same time isn't aware of the reality of what day of the week it really is.
Right. So Wanda and the boys have a kind of a heart-to-heart conversation about family and, what it really means. And Tommy goes, well, do you have a brother? And she's like, I do. except for he's far away, and it makes me sad. Then we, of course, have a noise outside, and Sparky's like scratch at the door, trying to figure out what it is. And the reason is because Monica has taken that idea of if something doesn't need to be retrofitted for the 80s by sending in a drone from the 80s. And as it comes through, we kind of get to see various things, the house and all the surroundings of, in Westview and all that stuff. Now, here's another little tidbit for you. It's hard to see, but again, I zoomed in on it. There are, if you look at the bottom right, I'll put it back up. The bottom right in the corner, there are coordinates, like for like a map as like where things are located.
Okay.
I put those coordinates into a GPS, maps thing, and it populates to that outside of Nevada, near the naval Air Force base that's out there near Las Vegas. It's in the Mojave Desert. What's that?
Oh,
so not New Jersey.
So not New Jersey. But again, I think this is like one of those little Easter eggs that they just kind of plot in. It's not supposed to, people aren't supposed to get it, but if they do, do you know what happened at those coordinates, roughly, give or take?
Well, that's where the Incredible Hulk got his gamma radiation, isn't it?
I don't know. I think possibly around that area. That happened. I'm trying to think of exactly if they acknowledge that, because the Hulk is a weird creature, because you've gotten 2 movies of the Hulk, and one of those is technically not part of the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is acknowledged by the MCU, but it was released under the Universal label because it was the second film to come out as part of the overall MCU.
Right, and it's got different actors. All 3 of those movies have different actors that portrayed,
Right.
But yeah, no, I'm curious. Like on top of that, like what?
Why don't you tell us?
Yeah,
Time's
exactly.
up.
What is the importance of those coordinates in regards to this?
So, in Captain Marvel, when Carol and Fury are trying to figure out what Project Pegasus is, to try to find out who, and I'm blanking on her name, but basically who is the person that was Marvel. They actually go to this bunker that is home to the Project Pegasus. And then if you technically in time frame, fast forward about, 20 plus years, when the movie Avengers, the first movie Avengers came out in 2012, you'll notice that it's the Joint Dark something Western Division Project Pegasus, NASA Space Radiation Facility, and Shield Accelerated Test something. So this is where Project Pegasus arrived from. So this is Captain Marvel connections as well as the Avengers movie. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thing that happened. A little Easter egg for you. So Monica is flying the drone. They go outside. However, as they are outside, Wu makes the comment that you can't see it on the TV because Wanda is blocking what gets seen.
Yeah.
So they kind of go right to the front porch, and Monica is like trying to talk to her, right, but nothing's really happening. In fact, Wanda gets a little angry. You kind of see her red eyes coming through the black and white monitor there. And then, of course, that's when Hayward gives the issue to take the shot, when we realize that there's someone else in control of the drone, and fires on Wanda and family. The end. No. That is when things get interesting again, because now alarms started going off. The perimeter has been breached. Everyone from Sword rushes out to go to the the barrier to find out what's going on. And then sure enough, right from the barrier, here comes Wanda. And what does she have in her hand? She's carrying the drone. Now, if you were in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and you were had to get a weapon or a drone from the 1980s, what company do you think you would go with?
Stark Industries.
So if you look at the tail end of it, you actually do see Stark Industries logo on this. So it is a Stark Industries drone that they are using in this. So I'm sure that made Wanda, happy again. So they come on out. They point all their guns. You see all the lasers on Wanda. Does not make her happy. Monica starts talking to her, is like, look, I'm a friend and everything. But of course, she starts to power up the red magic, and eventually turns all of the soldiers, takes control over their mind, and turns all of the weapons onto Hayward. Now, we've discussed who, at least in the comics, who Wanda's parent is, right? Who's her father?
Right.
Magneto.
Yep.
So if you look back to some of the X-Men movies, they kind of do the exact. Magneto does the exact same thing, where they take all the guns from the police officers and turn them back onto themselves. There's even a better one that I was not able to get, but from Apocalypse or Dark Phoenix, I think Dark Phoenix, the last one, where even he does the little hand flip that she does. That way, that's kind of mimicking lineage there. So nice little homage to her papa, possibly. And then, of course, Wanda's like, peace, I'm out of here, and goes back to the force field and gets back in. And when she actually crosses through the barrier this time, we've seen it from some of the trailers where it's a red force field. And so once she goes through, now she's mad. And so I think the force field is now mad. And you can see that definitely by the red energy coming around it. So I have a feeling it's going to be even that much more difficult to get inside Westview now that she's put up this extra protection barrier.
Yeah, there was also in that scene, Lord Cash, was also a thing that was said about when Wanda came out, was basically like about to like whoop some butt. Monica came straight up and said, like, she said, I'm your friend, but she's like, I know you won't hurt me, or something along those lines, because you already let me in once.
Right.
So that is something to kind of
she knows she's an ally, is what she was saying.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
gonna hurt you.
And I'm sure that was not a throwaway line. I'm sure that in the end, I think Monica and Wanda are going to have that heart-to-heart conversation, that talk, and Monica is going to get through to Wanda to possibly alleviate stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely also a hint that Monica is empathetic with Wanda and everything she's been through, because when the main sergeant, I believe he was, talking about the whole history, she kind of stood up for Wanda and said, that's all in the past. She's a good person now. She just had a lot of happen. So, she's trying to show that she's not like a bad guy. She's not reverting back to being a bad guy. She's just trying to handle all the stuff and the chaos that's happened to her.
Yeah. So we'll have to see exactly how the force field, how the hex responds to now being a red hex, and how easily it's going to be able to get in there. So, but now it's commercial time. Did this commercial stand out to you at all?
Wasn't it like a hot tub or a bat? What was it?
This was the paper towels.
Oh, okay.
So we go to talking about how they make a mess. They grab some paper towels and like, are you still using the the leading brand, but you need Lagos brand. Yep. Now, do you know where this kind of evolves from?
It's a place that isn't a place where they're from.
So they're from Sokovia. But at the beginning of not Civil War, Winter Soldier, They go and they infiltrate, and they have an encounter with Crossbones, and Wanda throws her up in the air, and it explodes, and so it's Lagos. For when you make a mess, you didn't mean to. So that was kind of, it was a Lagos, Germany, where they had the encounter. And because of that, the Sokovia Accords was drafted and put into practice, which, of course, we learned earlier on in the episode that Wanda is actually in violation of the Sokovia Accords because of everything that she's been doing, one of which they mentioned that Wanda actually broke into Sword headquarters and took the body of Vision.
Yeah, that was a pretty big reveal, actually, in itself.
So if you look, you've got the 4 CCTV of the whole thing, but if you look in the bottom right, that's where Vision's body is. And then it kind of goes to full screen. You can see his body is all scattered. You've got, his torso right there in the middle. But then like you got his head, his arm and hands over on this side. They're just all like taken apart and like disassembled. So now Wanda has taken the body of Vision back to Westview and reanimated him, brought him back to life of some sort, which again is against I believe it was Section 36B of the Sokovia Accords that she was breaking, on top of the fact that Vision's living will was he did not want to be a weapon. Now, one would argue that
these people could use him as a weapon. So yeah, he wanted to stay dead once.
Yeah. So, but one could argue the fact that Sword is tinkering with his body, they're kind of violating his living will as well.
Well, that could be like a second reason why Wanda rescued his body, was to kind of like basically get her husband back, but also, respect his living will, knowing that, you know what I mean, that he was going to be used against his will.
So I know that there is a like one little segment, like a second and a half, 2 seconds of one of the trailers. You actually kind of see the colorized version of her encounter at Sword. At least I believe it is. So very similar to how episode 4 was the kind of culmination of 1, 2, and 3 from Sword's perspective. I think by episode 8, we are going to get the storyline perspective from Wanda, her point of view, as to the events that led up after Tony Stark's funeral, because that's the last time we see her, moving into 3 weeks, 9, or I figure 21 minus 9, that's what, 13 days. Math right now not working well. Maybe 12 days. 12 days later. So less than 2 weeks later, her breaking into the Sword facility and taking Vision's body, going back to Westview, and then I think somehow something happened within those 9 days for when she got the body, and Wu and Monica show up on the scene, that something happens that causes the hex, that causes Vision to come back to life, and is now causing this transmission for Sword to pick up.
My question too with that is, it might be too specific, but don't you think that Wanda would need somebody to help her put him back together, both physically, mechanically, and even no, I mean,
magic.
No, but I'm serious, like, because we don't know necessarily that she's doing this all by herself. There could have been somebody that helped her get it into that and start the WandaVision, and is now almost
helping power it.
Well, helping power it, but also disagreeing with it at this point.
Right. Well, that's where the theories of that Agnes is Agatha Harkness, that you have Mephisto is at play, kind of giving that extra power to do all this stuff. So we're just gonna have to wait and see how that all plays out.
I feel like we should have had like a book opening with that noise of doo-doo-doo-doo, magic, word of the day.
So after the commercial, and everything going in, we jump back into the last few moments of WandaVision, where this is where it gets the very special episode, because Agnes finds Sparky in her bushes, where Sparky has eaten some of the leaves and didn't necessarily agree with him and actually dies. So I was trying to think of how to like say that a little bit more tactful, but I'm just like, he dies.
I saw for it.
I know, like, well, kind of they make the point of like later on, Vision's like, not every day you get a dog and bury it in the same day. So, but of course, the same thing kind of happens. The boys look at each other and they're like, okay, it's time. We're going to do it again. And Wanda is like, you can't age up out of this. You have to stay with the pain. You have to, acknowledge it. But the boys kind of make a point of like, Mom, you can do anything. You can bring back the dead. And even Ash is like, you can do that? So I honestly think that Agnes in that moment was like, wait, what? What can you do? So of course, Vision shows up and, finds out about the dog and consoles, Tommy and Billy, and is like, okay, we'll get through this. But then when they get home.
Sorry, before you jump to that, Wanda basically tells them, even if you can bring the dead back to life, you shouldn't. But I thought that was obviously interesting because Vision was dead and he is now brought back. So it's,
Well, and that's one of the reasons why I don't think that Wanda is at full control of what's going on. I think, yes, she brought him back to Westview, but I don't think she's responsible for the hex. I think she's protecting the hex. Maybe she's there keeping the hex from spreading out even further past Westview, and she's actually like holding it in place. But yet she's also had that comfort of actually having Vision back in her life that she doesn't want to let it go.
Right.
So I think she herself is trying to figure out what's going on. Because later on, she's like, I don't know what's going on. I'm not the one that's doing all of this. Do you really think that I'm the one that's causing everyone to walk their dogs, go to the dentist, go to work, all this stuff? And just she's still trying to figure things out herself.
Right.
And in fact, because of all this stuff going back and forth, they actually get into an argument where they start getting ready to have like a superhero fight. Vision raises up in the air. Wanda comes up in the air. She's got her red magic about to blast, Vision. They're like,
hey, for us.
So
dishes.
So she's like, I'm not the one doing this. And Vision's like, I want to believe you, but statistics are showing that it's highly unlikely. And then of course, in this moment, there is the doorbell ring. And this was the moment I think I've been waiting for, because I knew that this person had been cast into the show. I just wasn't sure exactly how they were going to show up in the show. So Wanda goes over to the door, opens it up, and you get to see the backside of the guy. And you see the white hair, and you're like, that's her brother. But what's great is you see it from Darcy's perspective, and you get to see who this is. And she's like, she recast him. And that is because this is Pietro from the X-Men universe. So when they do Days of Future Past, Dark Phoenix, and Apocalypse, this is Pietro, or actually I think they call him Peter in that episode, in that show. And so this was a $72 billion cameo. Because the Walt Disney Company, when they purchased 20th Century Fox a couple years ago, that's how much they paid for the rights to the 20th Century Fox, which gave them the rights back to Fantastic Four, X-Men, and a whole bunch of other properties, so that now that this could be a reality. Now, again, theories are out there that this is not really her brother. This is actually Mephisto in disguise, but who knows? The one thing that I did notice that I noticed this, but not everybody has been talking about it. Right after, they have their embrace, their hug, Pietro looks at Vision and goes, what does he say? Like, who's this? Like, Frozen Pop or something like that. As almost like saying, who's this dead guy? Or Popsicle. He calls him a Popsicle. Like, who's this Popsicle? As if almost a commentary to like a dead person. So I'm wondering like how that's going to play out.
Well, again, if it is Mephisto in disguise, he knows he's dead.
True.
He probably brought him back to life, so he's just making a snide comment.
Yeah, a little dig towards Wanda. So with that, that's kind of how the episode ends. So now let's kind of see what's going to happen next week, i.e. tomorrow, in 6 hours. So I'm excited for episode number 6. Definitely we are on this downward slope of everything coming through. It is absolutely amazing, pulling out all the stops. Is there anything else that maybe you guys wanted to mention before we start wrapping things up?
There was something from last week's episode. I know that we went off, not to like dig back. Something that you wanted to show. I can't remember what it was once we went off the air. But yeah, I don't know. Like I definitely feel like a lot of the theories that we talked about coming to fruition. It's making me wonder, and all of us wonder as to like how many people are really in play. There's obviously a lot of pawns on the chessboard, but there might be more than one king, might be one queen. They're kind of working together. Bad analogy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just want to know, like, how much Wanda's really in control, because it seems like she's not as in control as everybody once thought. It's not necessarily her vision. Her vision might not be Wanda's vision.
Good job.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've got 2 little things that I want to kind of talk over real quick. This is like way future down the road, but how have you been liking Jimmy Woo and Darcy Lewis?
He's a handsome fella. Darcy, yeah, not bad. No, I do like the characters. I think that they they have a dynamic where they're like almost like the audience, where we are trying to peel back the layers and figure out what the heck's going on. They serve as the on-screen version of our brains. Like they're the ones that are kind of trying to play Dr. Sherlock Holmes and all that.
Well, there have been tweets saying that we need a spinoff show featuring Jimmy Woo and Darcy Lewis. And they actually, I believe, already they've pitched the idea to Disney Plus as to having I think they're called the Agents of Atlas, is what that team is called. So we'll kind of see how that plays out if we do get that. I'm full on board. I love Jimmy Woo's character. I love Darcy Lewis. They got that little nice chemistry, bantering back and forth between the two of them. So fingers crossed that we actually do get that.
30 years ago, Lord Cash, we couldn't even get a movie from Marvel that didn't star David Hasselhoff. Now we can't not have 16 at the same time going on from Marvel.
Like I said, this year alone, you've got WandaVision, you've got Falcon and Winter Soldier, we've got Loki, you've got the What If series, then you've got the Black Widow movie hopefully coming out, we've got Spider-Man 3 coming out, you've got the Eternals coming out this year. So basically, everything that did not happen last year has been moved to this year. They're just going to bring it all.
Yeah.
So now the one last thing that I want to mention, I noticed it, had to do some little homework on it. There's not a lot of stuff that's out there that's talking about it, but one time you mentioned something, okay, twice you're like the coincidence, but when you got it 3 times in an episode after in a short period of time, there's something here. So I don't know if it's just referring to maybe the protective nature of Wanda and Vision over the kids, but if you notice, I'm gonna have to pause it here. The armrests to the throne that Vision is sitting on are tigers.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Then a few moments later, Agnes makes the comment about putting lavender, Ralph puts lavender on her, but there's no taming this tiger. Little awkward, conversation there. But then just shortly after that, if you notice on the kitchen table, there is a toy tiger. Again, don't know if this is just a coincidence of words and dialogue, props, but
the similar though, episode 1, I think it was, had lobsters everywhere.
Well,
raiding the zoo bin, but is there like something that, to that? Is it just a throwaway for, like you said, for decorating with props, or is there, a bigger thing in play?
I don't know, because I know in the first 1 or 2 episodes, like the devil in the details was mentioned. That's where a lot of people were getting the Mephisto reference from. So I couldn't really find much about it.
Nobody tiger.
What's that?
None of the superheroes or villains have a pet tiger.
There are, because like you have like White Tiger, Bronze Tiger are out there as superheroes. And then I can't think of like anybody that actually has like an actual pet tiger. So it's up in the air, but
got it. Tiger, Tony the Tiger, Tony Stark. Tony Stark's not dead. This is in his head.
Tony is a tiger. Gotcha.
Bringing it back.
I do have one final question, which I feel like I asked you every episode.
Okay, I'm gonna write it down in case you have asked me this.
What do you think that the next episode will kind of be a parody of?
See, that's what a question I was gonna be asking you guys. So, if the 80s, definitely the 80s, your signature, your staple sitcom shows, would that be of family ties and growing pains? Those were, and I like the staircase is very similar to that of Family Ties. As far as the 90s, I don't think we're gonna really, because I know Full House kind of started late 80s and worked into the early 90s. I don't think we're gonna go down that road anymore. But I am wondering, because Marvel is owned by the Disney company, and the Disney company owns ABC Network, and in the 90s, what was more prevalent as far as sitcoms go than your TGIF?
Right.
So I don't know. I'm trying to remember what were the first TGIF shows. You had your Family Matters.
I think it's one of the first ones.
Step by Step.
Perfect Strangers, I believe.
Perfect Strangers. Like I could see that happening. I can see a Perfect Strangers. That's a good one. I like that one.
I just thought about this too. All of these episodes are like based on a sitcom of some sort, or what people would envision that era as on TV without really experiencing it. Wanda was raised in a war-torn country of poverty, and maybe her only vision of what America looked like at these eras was what she has then later been able to retcon on television.
Yeah.
Why it's so focused on like the cheeseball factor of being, based on a TV show. And I cannot believe I just said that, because I really think that's probably the best thing I said in all these episodes.
I'm impressed tonight. Good job.
And I won't mention that I mentioned that in like the first episode.
That just means I learned then from you. If I've absorbed
it, swirling around the brain for a while.
Yeah, it just finally settled,
There you go.
I just realized that the Titanic sinks at the end of the movie. Just took me a long time to realize. Yeah, it was an iceberg.
Good thing we had that spoiler alert.
I know. I'm so glad I put that up. All right. Well, I think that pretty much concludes tonight's episode. We have officially talked like 3 times as much as the episode actually took place. This one was the longest episode at 34 minutes.
Well, and that's why we did this.
Yep. So there's 3 of us, 34 minutes. It makes sense. Yeah. All righty. Well, I think that I Stream, You Stream is not the only thing that you can catch all of us on. We have multiple stuff that you can catch us on over on the New York Nerd Show. So definitely check us out. We do AllThatPat and Lord Cash myself. We do Slam Nation every Monday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time, where we kind of give a what's what of going on in the WWE universe with Raw and SmackDown, and possibly even a little treat of something that's been on the WD network. And then, of course, Tuesday night, AllThatPat does a little video game tutorial. A lot of times people do stuff with WWE, but you did something different this past week. What did you do this past Tuesday?
Well, I finally finished Cobra Kai on the Xbox. I completed the Cobra Kai Dojo storyline from it. It was pretty cool. I won't spoil it. You can watch the previous episodes, but on Twitch, yeah, I was finally able to get through that. But of course, now I'm starting the Miyagi-Do version of the game. Loving it. So I'll probably be doing the same thing this week, quite honestly, is hitting up some more Cobra Kai.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, it's definitely another big show that's over on YouTube and now on Netflix, the Cobra Kai series. So definitely very cool. And then the two of you do some food reviews with various food subscriptions.
Yeah, we had delicious food yesterday.
We have to do an episode of it.
Yeah,
with the leftovers.
Yes, we were so hungry. We didn't even hit record last night, but yeah, we do different things. You do Blue Apron, HelloFresh, and Every Plate. I got all three of those out today. I would have to think. But yeah, great services, and good time. We always like to share that.
Excellent. And I was gonna say, like every time the screen rolls, like this section looks different every single time. I've because I've had so many boxes, I had to like go in and open them. I had my wife open them and kind of condense them down into like the larger boxes. So like she running like, okay, this one's got 10 pops from Hot Topic. This one's got 10 from Box Lunch. This one's got 4 larger ones from Box Lunch. And I got all my Amazon and the Target stuff. I'm just trying to condense them down because they're just they send like a huge box with just one. Right. So I'm like, I'm going to get rid of all the packing material. I'm not shipping it out anywhere. It's just going from downstairs to upstairs. So it can just live right there. And it'll be fine. Just all be together, and I'll just be able to go very quickly. Just go, ooh, look at this one. Ooh, look at this one. Ooh, look at this one. So hopefully that should be starting up soon. Some stuff going on in personal life that's getting in the way, a little bump in the road, but we're gonna get there.
Yeah,
we've got a nice consistent show starting right now.
You're building anticipation.
I know they're gonna be like, wow, not as awesome as I thought it was gonna be. So, and then of course, catch us back here next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, where we're going to go over episode 6 of WandaVision, title to be later named once it does come out tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm giving plasma. So as I'm going to be sitting there getting drained, I'm going to be watching the 6th episode of WandaVision. So I'm excited. Definitely check that out. So like I said, check us out next week. And anything else you guys want to say before I head on out?
Adios.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
All right. Well, just remember, if you can stream it, you should watch it. Until next time, bye-bye.
Hello?